Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Kafele, a highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 304 of the, consecutively, right? Can't forget that, of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here. Let me see. We got a lot of people already. We got Mona Obamolak is in Orlando, Florida. We got Michael Benton in Cincinnati, Ohio. We got Ronald Pugh in Cedar Hill, Texas. Hey, Ronald, did you go to TAPSY? I didn't get there this year. I'll be there next year for sure. Good morning to AP Patrick Lawrence in Connecticut. Yolanda McKinney, Mrs. Yolanda McKinney is in Texas. We got Grace Castaneda, typically in Kyle, Florida, but she's in Placinia, Belize, chilling. She says she's relaxing and tuning in Belize. I appreciate that, man. That speaks volumes. We got Constance Sherrod in Pearl, Mississippi. We got Dr. Robin Snowden Harambe. She's in Fresno, California. Get ready for July in Savannah. She's going to be joining us again in Savannah with the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. We'll let you know about that soon. Let's see where we at. We got Nadira Coley in Newark, New Jersey, Brick City. We got Rodney Richardson in Hampton, Virginia. Lysandra Brackens is in North Carolina. Michelle Braxton is in Newport News, Virginia. We got Takesha High in Virginia. Stacy L. Joy is in Los Angeles, California. You're not getting a blizzard in Los Angeles. We getting a blizzard here in Jersey. Starting tomorrow, I'm getting up out of here early in the morning. We got Dr. Rella Hicks is down in Augusta, Georgia. Vanessa Zeskin is in Connecticut. Good to see you in Jersey last week. I'll talk about that in a little while. We got LaKenya Rowland also in Jersey. Michelle Mitchell, Newport News, Virginia. Charlena Hottie, Norfolk, Virginia. David Bell, Benton Harbor, Michigan. We got the queen of the castle, Kimberly Broughton Kafele, in the building. We got Principal Tammy Taylor. Hey, Tammy, I thought, I didn't know if you were going to be tuning in live, but there was a part in the video this morning where Dr. Houston said you said a mouthful, and I was getting ready to write on the thread, and then I said, they're not even there. And you did. You were dropping some science, as they used to say in the old days. You were dropping some nuggets, Dr. Tammy Taylor, this morning. I got to go back and listen to that because you were really hitting it this morning. So good stuff. We got retired Principal Dot McKeever Jeter in the building, man. We thank you all the time for everything that you do to keep us out here in these podcast streets the way you do. And we got Brandy Prince Willis. I got the email, Brandy, and I'll be in touch with you about that. I got it this morning. Glad you're here too. We got MPA Jaguars. That's my man, Principal Josh Tovar. That's my brother. I see you in March. See you pretty soon. September, Devon Vance is here in Jersey. Sean Hurt, Detroit. Great session this morning. If you all missed it, Sean Hurt, school turnaround principal, 8 o'clock every Saturday morning at 10, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. These are all Facebook Live, by the way. followed by AP New Principals Academy. That's us. But, you know, I always like y'all to switch over there to YouTube and check us out on AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. But if you so attached to Facebook, then watch us on Facebook. If you're so attached to LinkedIn and X, then watch us there. But I love when y'all go over to YouTube, you know, in full disclosure. I mean, it just allows me to put a little more gas in the tank of the car. You know what I mean? When you don't go there, then all I could afford is a half tank. But when you go to YouTube, then I could fill the tank, man. You know, I don't get them Shannon Sharp dollars. But you know, we just a little small community of administrators across the country in different parts of the world. But if you go over to YouTube, man, you bless a brother, right? I'll just leave it there. We got Dr. Joe Griffin in the building. I see you. I'm getting ready to shut it down too, so we can get started. We got Tony McClenny. I see you in Battle Creek, Michigan. We got your superintendent coming on at some point. And I got to reach out to you and get you on here too. Annette McMahon is in Illinois. Tiffany, good morning to you. Tiffany, 1995. Where we at? Josh Jermaine Beauville in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I think I'm going to end it with my man, Edwin Garcia, who's right here in Jersey and Passaic. We will see you on the platform soon. So good to see you. Let me get it started, y'all. Formally now, let me say to you, good morning, greetings, and welcome to week 304 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. The question I ask every Saturday for the past 304 Saturdays, how you feeling? How y'all feel, man? I'm feeling good. You know, I'm feeling good. I'm a little tired, man. You know, if you kept up with me this week on Facebook, you know that I had, you know, the flight guides weren't working with me, and I had some travel woes, man. You know, so you know, I guess I'm still a little tired from that. But outside of that, I'm feeling good, man. Health is good. No sickness this week. You know, last week I think I had a little bug in me, but feeling good. You know, I got a question for you, man. What were your wins last week? You know, I got that question every week. What were your wins? And I'm gonna ask you that every week. As long as I'm on this platform and you figure we're at week 304, I'm at least gonna go to 600, man. At least. And then we'll figure it out from there. You know, I'll be a lot old. By the time we get to 600, man, I can't do the math in my head live right now, but you figure I'm 65 now and there are 52 weeks in a year. So by the time we get to 600, well, I guess I could do the math because I started this when I was 60, right? So I'm 65. So I guess I'll be 70, right? I'll probably be talking like this. How y'all doing, right? You know, I mean, well, I don't know how people talk when they're 70. Right? I'll probably be the same way, man. You know, most of y'all, you shocked that I said I'm 65 because you could have sworn I was 50. I know, I keep myself looking good. You know what I'm saying? So you know, but here we go. What were your wins? Put them in the chat, man. Let me see what you did last week, man. What were your wins last week? And then my follow-up is always, what will you do next week to take your game to the next level, right? Project. Don't go in there and just you show up. All right, let's see what we're going to do today. No. Project. Write it down, right? Know the week before you step into the week. Y'all missed that. You missed it. I got to give it to you again. Know the week before you step into the week. Yeah, that's how you do that. Hey, y'all, let me get through my announcements here. Shout out to the Nurturing Greatness Conference. Summit, the Nurturing Greatness Summit. That's the one that I co-hosted at Seton Hall University last Monday. We didn't know what the numbers were going to be, but people showed up, man. We had a phenomenal day. There's some video clips on my page. You can go to my page, Facebook, and check it out, and a lot of pictures. We just had a great time. So if you missed it, we already said we're going to do it again next year, February 26th, right? So we'll talk more about that later. But shout out to Dr. Tanya Breland. Shout out to Dr. Erica Leaks. Just had a great day, man. Great day. All the presenters that flew in from all over the country, as far as Los Angeles and other areas, and all the people that came out, man. We just it was just a phenomenal day. So put it on your calendar, February 26th, I think. 2027. Well, that was a long way. You probably don't even have your 27 calendar, right? But just keep it in the back of your mind. Shout out to the first, another one. Shout out to the Utah Association of Elementary School Principals. Oh man, how can I forget them? I spoke in St. George, Utah, to about 300 principals. The Utah Association of Elementary School Principals. It falls under the National Association of Elementary School Principals. I was their opening keynoter, and we had a good time, man. We had a good time. Then we went to this restaurant. And a lot of the people that were in the audience got to the restaurant before us. So we walked into the restaurant, myself and the leadership, and man, the people started clapping. Hey, Principal Kafele. I'm like, man, that's love right there. So, good stuff. So shout out to them, and shout out to another group. I talked to a virtual group of principals. I don't even remember where they were from, right? I forgot to write it down. But if you're on here, shout out to you under Dr. Melissa Gill. All right. Hey, y'all, you got this yet? Do you have your copy yet of What Is My Value instructionally to the teachers I supervise by yours truly? If you don't, what are you waiting for? Right? This is blessing people. I'm not saying that because I wrote it. I'm saying it because this is what people tell me. Man, Kafele, this book blessing my work, blessing me. Get yourself a copy. Right? Go to Amazon right now. Just hit the other tab. Go to Amazon, get your copy. Go to ASCD.org, get your copy. Go to Barnes & Noble. No, don't go to them, man. They don't even carry my books on their shelves in their stores later for them. Go to Amazon, right? I forget what I said about Barnes & Noble. Don't get my books from them, right? Just go to Amazon, go to ASCD. I mean, I've been an author since 1991, and that chain is yet to have my books on the shelves in the store. They'll sell it online, but I want to walk into a Barnes & Noble one day and just see, oh, wow, look at my book on the shelf. I'm one of the top selling authors in ASCD. Leadership, I'm number one, they tell me, right? And you won't put my books on the shelf at Barnes & Noble. Don't order my books from Barnes & Noble, y'all. ASCD, Amazon, wherever. But Barnes & Noble. All right, let's go. To the Black educators out there from New Jersey. And I hope people receive that the way I intend for it when I say that, because I know that there's some sensitive people. Why just the Black educators? Because the name of the organization is the National Alliance of Black School Educators, right? And if you know history, if you know American history, you know why there are Black organizations that have historical roots, because of Black people being excluded from the mainstream organization. So we had to create our own. So here's one. I happen to be the president-elect of the New Jersey affiliate, right? The New Jersey affiliate of the National Alliance of Black School Educators. So I'm saying, so many of you know we got this big informational meeting coming up on Tuesday the 24th, virtually. If you haven't been contacted by me or the president directly, that means we're not in touch with you. So right at the top of my Facebook page, matter of fact, at the top of my my Instagram page as well, both at Principal Kafele, the flyer is there with the QR code. Please register. We just want to see you there. I'm not even asking you to be a member at this time. I just want to see you at the informational meeting, and then you can make a decision if you want to be a member. But please go to the to my Facebook page if you haven't already registered. You'll see the flyer right there. You'll see my picture on the flyer. Use the QR code. Register and be in the virtual building on February the 24th. That's this Tuesday at 6:30. I want to see you in the building. I really do. This is important. It's called the National Alliance of Black School Educators, New Jersey affiliate, but it's all about these Black children, man, because I'm not going to get into a whole spiel about achievement levels of Black children. You already know. And I'm in this role, president-elect. I'll be president in 2 years. I'm in this role to fix this in New Jersey, right? No, said. I hope to see you. Where we at? I see you, Dr. Miller. I see you. Where we at? Lord, I got wrapped up into that. Oh, here we are. One more announcement, then my monologue. The School Leadership Institute, July 9 and 10. Someone might say, why are you talking about something in July, in February? Because we want to get y'all registered. I'll be doing this every week. July 9 and 10, Savannah, Georgia, the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. I want to see you there. That's why I'm talking about it now. I want to see you there. We're talking instructional leadership. The most significant aspect of our work outside of school safety is instructional leadership. Is the instruction, is the learning occurring in that classroom, because the instruction is at optimal levels. So we'll be talking instructional leadership for 2 whole days, July 9 and 10 in Savannah, Georgia. I might say beautiful downtown Savannah, Georgia. So if you haven't been there, come on out, and then you can take advantage of just the scenery, the offerings of Savannah, right? So we want to see you there, July 9 and 10. Here's what you do. Go to principalkafele.com. Again, principalkafele.com. One more time, principalkafele.com. Scroll down on my homepage where it says School Leadership Institute. Click the link, register, and I'll see you July 9 and 10. Enough said. Enough said. Here we go. My monologue this morning. Let me bring it down a little bit. My monologue is called Malcolm X on Education. Ooh, somebody said that's a little bit different. Yeah. Malcolm X on Education. Today is February the 21st. For those of us who love Brother Malcolm, this is an important day, right? A lot of times with people who are important historically, we know the dates they were born, but we don't always know the dates that they left us. But his departure was so brutal, an assassination on February the 21st, 1965, on a Sunday in Harlem, USA, as we call it, at the Audubon Ballroom, right? So I'm not going to get into that and the politics around it, but I'm letting you know why I'm doing this today of all days, February the 21st. And by the way, the Audubon Ballroom is now a museum. The Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial and Education Center. And I took a busload of students there back around 2010-ish when I was a principal at North Tech, and we spent a day there. So I want to invite you to my Facebook page or Instagram page to look at the pictures that we took while we were there. Some of the pictures, I don't have them all on that particular phone I use, but just come on, go to the Facebook page or Instagram and check out the pictures from there. But let me get back to the monologue topic, Malcolm X on Education. I took 5 quotes from Brother Malcolm, and I wanted to share them with you because they have relevance to this platform. So let's go. Number 1, the only persons who really changed history are those who changed men's thinking about themselves. Let me give you that again. Again, these are 5 quotes from Brother Malcolm X. The only persons who really changed history are those who changed men's thinking about themselves. Now, I want to shy away from the broader way to talk about that, and I want to look at the micro. So, I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and I read a book which I'm gonna share with you in a different quote, and it was a book about about Malcolm and Dr. King. And had I not stumbled, it was an accident. Had I not stumbled on this book, you and I are not engaged right now. You don't know me because I'm not doing the work I'm doing. But in reading that book, it started the cycle of me becoming familiar with who that was in my mirror, historically speaking and culturally speaking. That shifted my trajectory dramatically, because I didn't go into the undergrad school to become a teacher. I went into undergrad school to become a businessman. But in stumbling on this book, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, it changed my trajectory. So now let's go back to the quote. The only persons who really changed history are those who changed men's thinking about themselves. So that changed my thinking about who I was. And then I subsequently become a teacher. And that is my focus on introducing the children to who they are historically and culturally speaking. Let me end it right there because I could go 2 hours on this topic of just that one quote. So second one, number 2, Malcolm said, my alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity. So while I was in undergrad school, and once I read that particular book, it was a wrap for me. In fact, let me get the book. The book is called To Kill a Black Man, subtitled The Shocking Parallels of the Lives of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. So this book, it literally shifted my entire life, including my name. right? It had that much power, that much impact, that much influence, this little book. So the quote again, he said, my alma mater was books, a good library. I found this in a library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity. Well, all these books you see behind me, and then books in other parts of the house, I became curious. And I just wanted to know. I wanted to know everything that I was deprived of learning and knowing while I was in pre-K to undergrad school. My wife could tell you, she was my girlfriend back then, right? That I was just up all night reading. Then all day reading. It's all I did was read. I don't want to watch TVs. I tell my friends all the time, like I can't have the intelligent conversation about Michael Jordan. Let me just throw this in here. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because during those Jordan years, I was in these books, man. I know he was out there. I know he was doing his thing, but I didn't pay him attention. I'm a Knicks fan. But I can't have the intelligent conversation about Patrick Ewing, who played in that same era, because I wasn't paying attention. I was curious. I was reading, and reading, and that's all I was doing. So I missed out on a lot of life because of the reading. Again, he said my alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity. Let's go. The third quote, we talking Malcolm X on education. He said, people don't realize how a man's whole life can be changed by one book, which is what I just said. The man who started this book, the young man at age 23, on page 1, was not the man that finished on page 256. It was not. This sparked a flame in me that's been raging ever since. But with the quote, he said, people don't realize how a man's whole life can be changed by one book. Take a look. You've seen this on this platform before. The Miseducation of the Negro. When I was reading all that African history, African diaspora history, I still didn't know I wanted to teach until I read this book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the man responsible for the month we're in right now, Black History Month, the 100th anniversary that we're in right now on this February the 21st. Well, once I read this book, I knew what I wanted to do. I want to teach, I want to educate, and ultimately I want to lead, I want to consult, I want to speak, right? Malcolm, again, he said, people don't realize how a man's whole life can be changed by one book. I live that. I understand that. And I'm sure it's a lot of you out there who understand the same thing. Let's go. Number 4. Malcolm said, a man without any history is like a tree without roots. Ooh. Let me give you that again, because we see it every day. We see it every day. A man without any history is like a tree without roots. Mm-hmm. You cut them roots off from that tree, and that tree ain't gonna live, baby. Well, you take a human being and rob them of their history, they ain't gonna live mentally and emotionally the way they should be living. They may not even live physically the way they should be living, right? That history is the foundation upon which you stand. That history is the foundation upon which they build buildings. They build structures. There's no structure that will survive if the building has no firm foundation. It's not going to survive. So let's make sure that the children are being exposed to their story. They're being exposed to their history. It matters. Number 5, education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Now, that's the one quote that a lot of us, we just know that one because that's the one that we see all the time as it relates to Malcolm. Again, he said his education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. But you know, that quote, it really hit home with me when I decided that I didn't feel like getting a real ID. Y'all know I live in airports, right? So I carry a passport around, and I promise you, because I'm now carrying a passport. In the past, I only had a passport when I flew internationally. Now I got a passport in my bag 100% of the time. Well, every time I go to to security, TSA in the airport, if they don't have clear, because when you go through clear, you don't need your passport. But when you're going through TSA, I'm always like, oh my God, please passport be in my bag every time. Even though I know I put it in there or didn't take it out from the last trip, I'm like, please, God, have that passport in there or I'm not going to be flying, right? So now it makes me look at what Malcolm said a little bit differently. He said, again, education's our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So if my passport's not in that bag, what I was destined to do and destined to arrive to is not going to happen. See, so education, what Malcolm is saying, becomes that vehicle, right? It becomes that conduit to get to where you're trying to get to. But if you don't have that education, and I don't mean necessarily just a formal education, everything is education in terms of getting to that next level. You got to learn something. But if you don't have that passport, if you don't have that education, then you have stifled yourself. So that passport gets me through TSA. Internationally, that passport gets me into another country. Well, that education is your passport to get to your next level, is what Malcolm was saying. So make sure, leaders who are tuned in right now, make sure that their passport is still active, that it hasn't expired, because your leadership, again, your leadership is leading the effort in taking young people and staff to their destination. Said better, their destiny. Enough said. Enough said. Let's go. My topic today, before I bring up my folks, in fact, let me just make an adjustment to my screen. My topic today, there we go, is how is my leadership making those around me better? Again, how is my leadership making those around me better? Let me get them on up here. There they go. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm glad to see y'all. I hope I didn't take too long. I mean, other days I've gone much longer, right? So we ain't bad, right? So to the fam out there, I got three dynamite powerhouse guests, but do me a favor, y'all. Hit the share button, retweet, repost, text somebody, tag somebody, let them know we are here. Hit up them Facebook leadership groups, if you will, but let someone know we're here. Hit the like button. I'm going to say it again. Hit the like button. I'm going to say it again. Hit the like button, man. We live in an algorithm-driven world, and that like button is what activates those algorithms. So make sure that you hit that like button. Let's say you dislike it. Like it anyway, right? Just like it. If you on here, you must like something about this platform, or why are you here, right? Unless you somebody, well, I'm a hater, so I want to see things I hate. All right, well, like us then, right? So anyway, let me read these short bios about my three guests. First, Dr. Terra Harris, out there in Newport News, Virginia, known her for many years. Is an accomplished educational leader, leadership coach, and former principal with over 12 years experience driving instructional excellence and building strong cultures within her division. I'm gonna read fast, y'all. So when I stuttered on, don't mind me. I'm reading fast. With more than 24 years in education, she brings a deep understanding of teaching and learning into every aspect of her leadership and coaching work. Currently serving as a PK-12 leadership coach, Dr. Harris co-leads the division's efforts to strengthen its leadership pipeline and succession planning by developing aspiring and current school leaders through targeted learning experiences, job-embedded coaching, and data-driven decision-making. Her work includes strategic planning, instructional walkthroughs, school-based support, and providing collegial, actionable feedback that strengthens instructional leadership across schools. Throughout her career as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and principal, Dr. Harris has been known for her ability to elevate teaching and learning through focused observations, strong systems of support, and relationship-centered leadership. Her approach consistently centers on improving student achievement while empowering educators to grow in skill, confidence, and impact. She's committed She is committed to cultivating trust, fostering collaboration, and developing leaders. Told y'all I was going to stutter, y'all, who are equipped to create high-quality learning experiences for every student. Passionate about coaching, continuous improvement, and service, Dr. Harris brings both practical expertise and heart to every space she leads. Powerful stuff, powerful stuff. Hit that share button, somebody, as I go to Eder Joseph, known as EJ, is the assistant superintendent at Burlington County Institute of Technology in New Jersey. The son of Haitian immigrants, Eder brings 25 years in education, serving as an elementary school teacher, special education teacher, middle and high school assistant principal, and high school principal, and is known for leading with clarity, strong systems, and a relentless focus on opportunity for students. In his current role, he has increased in industry partnerships. Let me read that again. In his current role, he has increased industry partnerships, launched new CTE, career technical education programs, doubled AP offerings, expanded dual enrollment opportunities, and expanded work-based learning. That's big. As a high school principal, he led schools to recognition as a state and National School of Character, an avid national demonstration school, and a future-ready school. He's deeply committed to developing new school leaders, a certified mentor through New Jersey's Leaders to Leaders program. He mentors new school leaders. He champions student voice as a key lever for improvement. He is graduating this spring with a doctorate in educational leadership from Wilmington University with a dissertation on increasing dual enrollment for underrepresented students. He holds several ISTE AI credentials and is a recent graduate of the AASA National Aspiring Superintendent Academy. He leads with the belief the struggle continues until each child has the education that we want for our own. Good stuff. And then our final guest, last but certainly not least, Bridgette McNeal out in Illinois. Currently serves as the Director of Programs and District Services for SPEED, Special Ed Joint Agreement. In this role, she supervises administrators across 4 special education programs within a cooperative that serves 15 general ed member school districts. Her department also oversees district services, providing essential support in areas such as curriculum and instruction. With 28 years of experience in education, Mrs. McNeal has dedicated her career to supporting students and strengthening school communities. She spent 11 years as a classroom teacher and 16 years as a school administrator before stepping into her current leadership role as director. Throughout her career, she's worked with students ranging from pre-K through age 22, serving diverse demographic and socioeconomic populations. She's built strong partnerships and actively collaborates across multiple areas of education, including bilingual ESL programs, special ed services, and transitional education programs. Her leadership is grounded in a commitment to equity, access, and high-quality instruction for all learners. She earned her bachelor's degree in general education from Northern Illinois University, a master's degree in curriculum instruction from Olivet Nazarene University, and a master's degree from in general administration from Concordia University. In addition to her graduate degree, she holds several academic endorsements and has served as an advisor for multiple youth programs. And finally, a longtime resident of Glenwood, Illinois, Mrs. McNeal lives with her husband and their 3 daughters. Strong stuff, all 3 of you.
Thank you.
We got a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Again, one more time, y'all. Well, not one more, but for now, hit that share button. Retweet, repost, tag somebody, text somebody, call somebody, holler at somebody, hit that like button, and let them text those leadership groups know on Facebook that we are live and in living color. You know, as a segue, I should have told you this off camera. I got 2 questions that I'm not going to call on anybody. I'm just going to put it out there and somebody jump in, but I want to set it up for you. What inspired the question was there's a whole lot of debate in the basketball world about who's the best, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. That's just an ongoing, forever conversation until somebody comes up that's as great as the 2 of them. Kobe, we could put in that discussion, but and others, I guess. But anyway, the debate: who's better, LeBron or MJ? And a lot of times the conversation, here's a direction that the conversation goes in as it relates to our conversation today. They say LeBron was able to make the players around him better. So LeBron could be on a team with guys that are really not that well known, not that well established. They're not the superstars. They're not box office. They're not the people that people pay money to go and see. They're just some pretty good average guys. And being on a team with LeBron James, LeBron makes them look better than they actually are. And we get to see that live and in living color when LeBron's gone, and those guys, a lot of them typically are not as good as they were when he was there. So that's on the one side of the argument. On the MJ side, people will take the position, yeah, Michael Jordan was great, but no one got better because he was on the court. He was just great at what he did. So a lot of time that's the argument between the two, right? So, and I'm not here to debate the fam out there on the thread about who was better. That's not my discussion. I just want to draw that difference between the two of them, right? So with that said, our topic again, how is my leadership making those around me better? So with that, let me throw this first question. Let's talk about the leader who makes others around him or her better. So any one of you that wants to jump in here, give us just an example of what that might look like in terms of that leader. What do we see in that leader that wow, this person has made other people better because he or she is there? What do you think, somebody?
I'll go. I feel like that when you think about how a leader makes someone else better, I really think it's purpose driven. So you're looking at how this leader is able to impact not just, one person or another, but a group of people. And they're able to translate vision into outcome, right? It's inspiration. It's allowing others to feel that excitement and feel that movement and shift in becoming a leader. And I think that it shows, it becomes contagious. And it's just a great way to help uplift and motivate others.
Yeah. I'm with you. Anybody else want to jump in there?
I'll jump in. I will say it has to do with servant leadership. And that's how I like to classify myself, as someone who I will get down there and do that with you. I'm not going to lead from the top down. I'm going to be in there with you. So within my buildings as a leader, I often talk about our students, our school. This is what we are going to do because I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and be right there with you. So I experienced over the years that when someone says our leader is in the trenches with us, she's here guiding us and leading us, and we can see that her leadership style is that she's not going to just tell us what to do, how to do it. She's going to be right there alongside with us. And I have over the years gained a lot of appreciation because of that, because I am there with you early mornings, late in the evenings, planning, preparing, whatever needs to be done. I'm that person that's going to be that example for you and not just be at the top or, in my office or on my throne and just kind of just putting it out there for you. I'm going to walk down there and get there with you, and we're going to do it together.
I love it. Eder, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So again, I was kind of pausing and just kind of really thinking and reflecting. I think part of it is a lot of times people talk, right? They talk about who they are, right? They will say, I'm student-centered. They will say, I engage parents. But at the end of the day, it's your actions, right? Your actions really speak more. And for me, it is all about that. What are other people saying about me based off of what I do on a daily basis? So at the building level, I reflect on my last principal role. I had a strong leadership team, but it was all about, I'm not just going to tell you stuff. Like, you actually have to do the work, right? So you have to actually see that I'm there in the morning, right? Like Ms. McNeal mentioned, you got to see that I'm there at many different events. You got to see that we're having these relationships and conversation with students. I think part of that is that once they start seeing that and they know that you're intentional and you're relentless on that, they know in order for them to continue in that role with you, they have to follow, right? And I'm a big person where I think about these systems and these expectations. The way you know it really is hitting home is when you leave a location and leave a system, are those things still in place, or do they leave with you, right? And if they leave with you, you ain't make anybody better. They were just following you for either fearfulness. But if I look back on some places I've been, I'm like, oh, they're still doing that thing. Wow. That's that real impact, that you're making people better and thinking about the work that we're doing.
I love it. I love it. You know, before I give the second part of this two-part question, I failed to mention to the fam out there, Eder Joseph, his second year teaching in his life. I was the principal at that school. That's where we met. So we're going back to 2002. And I've known him ever since, and he's been rocking as fam of this platform for a long time. So it's just great to have him here. Probably well overdue, but it's great to have him here. I was a baby, and I don't mind saying this publicly because I'm very transparent. I was a little controversial back in them days, you know, but I'm here. I'm here. Right? Good stuff. Good stuff. Here's the second part of that question. Let's talk about that leader who lacks making others around him or her better. What does that look like in that leader? And I ask you this question for this reason. It's a question of a mirror, right? So let's say there's somebody on the call right now with us, or the larger audience who will see the video later, and based on how you answer, they may conclude, I'm that leader, right? I may have certain skills and talent, but no one is getting better because I show up. So let us know what that might look like. Anybody jump on in here.
I will say that person is pretty much that person who says, do as I say and not as I do. That mentality, where they are one of those people who will just kind of tell you what you should do. And there's very little feedback. There's very little support. And that person is just not there to ensure that what the person is doing is heading in the right direction, because you can't let a person get so far the wrong way and try to pull them back. You have to be there with them along the way to make sure they're progressing and growing in the right direction.
Can't let them get so far. Yeah, and I would also add. So when I'm reflective, I think early on, I think part of it was I was trying to do too much myself, right, and not leaning on potentially other school leaders, because I'm like, I know what I want, right, and I think part of growing in the role of school leader is, yes, holding that mirror, being reflective, and then actually have an honest conversation with your team, and then giving them that confidence and hearing them out. And listen, also challenging them when they are not meeting the standard. I think that's part of it. Like, if they're not meeting your standard, we got to have some difficult conversations, because I need you to do this part, because the burden of school leadership is heavy, right? I tell people all the time, teaching is hard. School leadership is hard. If we're trying to put a cape on and do it on our own, we will fail. But the goal of it is, bringing people along and giving them that confidence and giving them the tools and resources and supports to make sure that they're able to kind of lead with you. Yeah. Good stuff.
And I think, Mr. Joseph, to kind of piggyback on what you said, like, leadership is lonely. Like, school leadership is very lonely. Like, finding your people and your tribe to be able to give you that feedback that you need to grow and develop. When we think about this leader that's not developing others, we're thinking about somebody that's leading in isolation, right? And they're not building the capacity of others, which is damaging, not just for other leaders, not just for their staff, but also for students. It's also for students.
Good stuff. Appreciate it. Let's jump into I got these questions are for the individuals. So Dr. Harris, I want to share something from your bio. I didn't tell you off camera. I need to tell you now. I'm calling you Dr. Harris because anybody that comes on this platform with a doctorate, I'm gonna respect that. Even though I think I know you as Terra, I'm gonna call you Dr. Harris on here. Dr. Harris, your bio states in part, Dr. Terra Harris is an accomplished educational leader, leadership coach, and former principal with over 12 years of experience. And this is what's key: driving instructional excellence and building strong school cultures within her division. So that's what jumped out at me in that particular paragraph: driving instructional excellence and building strong school cultures within your division. So I got a two-part question for you, Doc. Number one, talk to us about the impact of a strong school culture on instructional excellence.
So, a strong school culture. So, I am very big on culture and climate. I always have been. I was a building principal for 11 years and an assistant principal for 2 years. And I know that staff, students will do anything as long as they know they are loved and cared for. So, establishing this strong culture in my building was priority every single time. And once that was established and maintained and cultivated, it just translated into us being this strong instructional driven school. So for instance, when I first got to my school, we were not accredited in math and reading. I firmly believe that movement can happen, right? It says 3 to 5 years for change. I was determined to do it in 3 and actually did it in 2. But that was because of all of the support from my entire staff, my entire kids, my entire staff and all of our students. And it was holding everyone accountable, right? As a leader, you want to make sure that you hold everyone accountable. First year, we end up getting accredited in math. The second year, we were accredited in reading. And I remember at that time, the superintendent, our former superintendent was there, and she was talking, and we were in this state-driven meeting, and I was like, wow, I won't be coming back here. And she said, prove to me. And I did just that. But again, as a leader, I feel like I set the tone, making everyone around me better, and uplifting them and motivating them and giving them the tools to be successful. So
yeah. So let's invert it. And you may not even agree with the premise. And if not, I want you to be honest with me.
Okay.
But the question is, talk to us about the impact of strong instructional excellence, as you worded it, on strong school culture. So in other words, I'm asking, the question is asking, is there a correlation between strong instructional practices and thereby a strong school culture?
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely a connection. I feel like one can't live without the other. It's an opportunity to have this strong instructional practice that elevates everyone in the building, that's working throughout the building. And then that translates into this culture that we all can do it, right? Everyone is involved in this process. Just like I shared, it was a team effort. It wasn't a me, right? Sure, they're like, oh, we couldn't have done it without you. No, you all did it. So I think there is a strong correlation and a connection to both instructional excellence and a strong culture.
I love it. So to the family out there, before I move on, I just want you to keep in mind, you know this, but just your brother and your sister reinforcing it. The impact that culture has on instruction, but flipping it, the impact that solid instruction can have on the culture of the building. So therefore, what's happening in your school, and particularly under the umbrella of your instructional leadership, right? Because if you're not there as that person, then you diminish the probability of those two dynamics happening anyway, right? So it's good stuff. And I should say to the other two on the screen, any question I ask and you feel like I want to chime in on that particular question, the floor is open. Just interrupt me, right? Because I won't know. Just interrupt me and jump in. I'm not going to ask you to jump in. I just want you to know that you can jump in, right? So let me go to Eder. Your bio. It states you served as an elementary school teacher, special education teacher, middle and high school assistant principal, and high school principal, and is known for leading with clarity, strong systems, and a relentless focus on opportunity for students. You were a special needs teacher. Our topic again, making the people around us better. So here's the question I want to ask you. Is there any correlation, Eder, between your origins as a special needs teacher and who you are as a leader toward making the people around you better?
Yeah, I would say 100%. I think part of it is not only the special education background, but it's just the background of me kind of growing up. Education was not my path. Like that was it. Like when I go back to my old high school, some of the former teachers said, "What are you doing? You're what? Right? A teacher, a principal?" Was shocking, right? But I tell this quick story that I played college basketball in Buffalo. I was a physical therapy major. My parents are Haitian. If you know anything about potentially Caribbean parents or Haitian parents, medical field had to be the thing. Like it was no other option, right? So I know when I called my mom and told her I was changing my major to education, like she was shocked, right? But part of it was me chasing. Again, I tell this story. I'm married, right? I was chasing this girl who became my wife. I jumped into an education class that she was in. The best thing that happened to me was I was able to go into the schools immediately. They put us in schools day one.
Wow.
And there were a couple kids in the hallway, young Black boys in the hallway, and a teacher just sees me and grabs me and say, can you connect with them? That brought me back every week, right? And as a special education teacher, I think this conversation about opportunity, it is, how do we ensure that all of our students, not just some, all of our students have the opportunity to succeed? And that's been my mindset, right, across the board in regards to how do we, when you talk about how's my leadership making those around me better, I not only think about the adults, I'm thinking about students, right? How does my leadership make students around me better, right? And that's that pushing that opportunity for students and being relentless to say, no, we got to do it, right? There is no option. We have to do this for our students.
Yeah. I love it. Because I was thinking about, when I wrote the question, I was just thinking about, when we use that word equity, before equity was even part of the education lexicon in schools, special needs teachers had to be equitable in that classroom, far more than say, and it does. I'm not saying that it didn't have to occur in the general ed classroom, but in that special needs environment, one had to be equitable within their practice. So therefore, that was the motivation behind the question, because then as a leader, I can't make folks around me better if I'm not equitable in my leadership practices, right? So I thought you were ideal for that, and good stuff. Let's keep going, Eder. You are deeply committed to developing new school leaders. That's what you do. You're certified, and I wasn't familiar with this program. I need to get familiar with it, though. You're certified mentor in New Jersey's Leaders to Leaders program, where you mentor new school leaders. I need to jump on that. But anyway, what are some of the most critical aspects of school leadership that you share or theoretically share with your mentees regarding making others around them better?
I think probably the biggest part is learning, right? You can't make others better if you're not making yourself better, right? So you have to learn to get outside of your comfort zone. A lot of times new leaders, they get stuck, right? They're in their building, they never leave, and all they know is that. And again, I challenge them. Either you go into professional development, you're attending some webinars. Sometimes it's just connecting with others outside of your building to be able to shape and talk about, the role. I often tell my new mentees that even if you were a great teacher, that does not translate into you being a great school leader, right? Great teacher helps tremendously. But being a school leader is different, and you have to kind of learn that role. And then it is sharing. I know people, like a lot of times people are like, I'm sick of people saying, share your why. But it is so important that people know what drives you. Like, what are you relentless about, and what won't you allow to happen in your building. And then when you start doing that, it does force other people to think. Like teachers literally had to think, all right, I know this is what Mr. Joseph wants for our building. If I do this other thing, what potentially is the outcome? That forces people to be better. Like either you're doing it because you just know this is the vision of our school and we got to do this right, or there's going to be some consequences. It's not about fear, but it is. I'm thinking about our kids, right? Students get one chance at K-12 education, just one.
Yeah.
And we don't have time to allow, some of the nonsense to happen. We really got to push and make sure that they're all successful as they graduate.
Love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Bridgette, you spent 27 years as a classroom teacher and a school administrator, and then transitioned into a position that is very different from what you did over the previous 27 years as Director of Programs and District Services for SPEED, Special Education and Joint Agreement. Talk to us about the transition and how you see yourself making people around you better in this new capacity.
Well, I will say the transition initially was a little scary, because now there are people who are looking to me for the guidance that I once looked to others for.
Yeah.
So until I actually got in that position, I did not realize how much I actually knew, all the experiences I had. And when I began to talk to the administrators that I am the director for, I did not initially understand that all those years and all those experiences would lead to this point. So making this transition now, after being in this position for the time I've spent here, has shown me that I had to give myself a lot of grace and understand that you're not going to walk into a role and be perfect.
Mhm.
And you can't pour into someone if your cup is empty. So what I had to do is, like Mr. Joseph said, continue to learn myself, continue to grow, seek that knowledge that I needed to know in order to be productive for those who look to me for that guidance. And when administrators walk into my office, I often share my experiences and let them know where I'm coming from when I talk about specific topics and certain subjects, to let them know that this is not coming from just a place of what I think, is coming from a place of what I experienced and what I know. And so I think with this current role, or what I know about this current role, is that it takes an effort. And what I do is I have learned to be a think partner, a partner in the process of what to do. What should we do now? Because I truly believe if you tell someone, they'll leave your office just doing what you told them. But if you think through and talk through issues with someone, then they leave feeling empowered. Like I didn't, no one had to just tell me this. I was able to work with someone to think through this myself. So I take ownership, accountability in what I now know could and should be done.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Your leadership, according to your bio, your leadership is grounded in a commitment to equity, access, and high quality instruction for all learners. We could spend the rest of the day beyond the time we're on the call just talking about equity and access, right? There's just a lot there. But I got this loaded question for you.
Okay.
I created this scenario.
Okay.
So you got this assistant principal in a school who supervises X number of teachers, among other staff, but I want to focus on the teachers. And this assistant principal is overwhelmed with responsibilities that have nothing to do with instruction, right? Just all that other stuff, the discipline, the cafeteria duty, the whatever, right? So how might this overwhelmed assistant principal commit themselves to classroom equity, access, and high quality instruction for all learners when the prevailing culture of the school and how they're being utilized by their principal pulls them in the direct opposite direction? I ask you this question only because of your years of experience at the building level. What are your thoughts on that?
So everything comes back to the students. The students are the core. And when we think about why those students are there, they are there to learn, and they are there to grow, and they are there to achieve academic excellence that we put, that the goal is for them, that we put in place for those students. So everything comes back to that. So what I would do with that assistant principal is, first of all, build that confidence in their knowledge. If there's something that they don't know, let's find some workshops, some trainings for you to go to, and let's make sure that you are well informed, so that when you walk into these classrooms, you know what to look for, you know what is not being done, or what could or should be done. And just really focusing that administrator on that academic piece, because just like we spoke about earlier, the academic piece, the academic instructional or academic side, along with the climate and culture, they go hand in hand. So while you're dealing with discipline and you're in the cafeteria, we need to be equitable about that, spending that time also focusing on the instruction. Because when you have solid core instruction, kids are engaged, you create that intrinsic motivation to learn, then those behaviors, you won't have to focus so much on behavior, because they are so focused on wanting to learn or get back to class to finish that science project or whatever they're doing. So we want to put that educational piece in the forefront, and make sure that the teachers know, when you give the students a purpose for being there, making them want to come to school to learn, then that becomes the shift in that mindset that we want to see. And we don't want to be with that fixed mindset that students can or can't do something. We want that growth mindset where we're going to continue to get higher and move higher along. So with that assistant principal, making that shift in that mindset about what you are here for, and it's not just discipline, it's not just those outside the classroom things, it's all encompassing, but start before is that actual education and that academic piece and the instruction piece. So what to look for, you don't go in the classroom and look for who's sitting in their seats or who's doing what the behaviors look like. We want to go in there and see what that core instruction looks like. We want to know, we are there for the sake of being prepared for trainings and PD for our teachers, and making sure that we are building those capacities within the classroom for the students and the teachers. And then if we can do that as administrators, we can continue to stay focused on what our core goals are. And that is that mission and vision of getting those students to where they need to be.
I love your response, and I'm in 100% agreement with it, but I still want to push you.
Can I add something? Because that scenario was literally my scenario as a second year assistant principal in a new
go ahead.
Right? So I think one of the things I tell people all the time, all the mentees, veteran assistant principals, you have to use your calendar effectively. Like I tell people, put it on your calendar that you're doing class visits. Like, so for me, my first principal role, it was I met with my secretary and just told them, hey, I'm putting on my calendar. I'm visiting all history classes, and I block it off my calendar, right? Because if it doesn't hit your calendar, it's not going to happen, right? So I think that's one. Protect your calendar, protect your time. Yes. I worked with my secretary and just told her, listen, when I'm out, right? Unless it's an emergency, and then we start talking about what is an emergency, because a lot of time, like I'm coaching a first year assistant principal, and he's having this issue. And I just told him, all smoke is not fire, right? There is some smoke that it can wait, right? You can have a kid sit in your office, right, with your secretary. You don't got to rush out of an observation that you've had planned to get back to deal with that, that kid at that moment. So protect your calendar. And then the other thing is have an honest conversation with your building principal. Like I was told in front of 7th grade students in the auditorium, this is your disciplinarian. Afterwards, I went back to my principal and I said, hey, do me a favor.
Right.
Don't call me just like, I said, that's part of my role. I get it. But I said, I don't want to be known as the disciplinarian, because kids who don't get in trouble, when you start talking to them, they're in their mind thinking, why is he talking to me? He's the disciplinarian, right? So I had to change that mindset. Like, no, I want to know every kid. I want to visit every classroom. And then part of it, you just got to start leveraging your time. I remember going into classrooms with discipline files so I could get some work done while at the same time observing instruction and just being in and out. Because it's hard, right? I keep saying that. This is hard work. And you got to be in tune with your principal. You got to be honest. And sometimes if you feel as though there's no moving it, right? If you're going to be disciplined all the time, I tell people all the time, there's a lot of jobs opening up all over the place. You might need to leave a place if you feel you're not going to grow.
Yeah. Nobody has to be married to that one particular school nor district. I want to stay on this topic. Okay. And then so let me throw this at you, Doc. And when I said Doc, meaning Bridget. Okay. And Dr. Harris, feel free if you want. I don't care how long we stay on a particular question. So Bridget, I receive a lot of inbox messages from people throughout the week, every week. That's part of my life. Just people have concerns. You know, it's just Principal Kafele, help me through this issue, that type of thing. So the assistant principal, which is the motivation for the question, there are assistant principals out there who will write me and say something like, Principal Kafele, I was so eager to get into the administration, into the assistant principalship. And, you know, I was a solid classroom teacher, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm here. I want to go back into the classroom, or I want to try counseling. This is not for me, because all I do is discipline students. Now you address this, right? So in terms of changing the focus in the environment, etc. But I still want to go with it. So I don't want this anymore. I want to go back into the classroom in my happy place. But on top of that, and this is where Eder comes in now, I've got this principal who is intentionally, deliberately utilizing me this way. So you got a culture that's not supportive of me being an instructional leader. And then I've got a principal who's utilizing me in a way that he or she was probably utilized when they were assistant principal. So it's just it's an ongoing cycle. So now here I am watching this session this morning, and Bridgette McNeal is one of the guests. And I wish I could talk to her, but I can talk to her through Kafele, through the platform, right? And now, Bridgette, Mrs. McNeal, what am I to do? I don't even want to go to work Monday because I know what it's going to look like. I want to be in a situation where because I'm going to use your language now. I want to be in a situation where equity for students, access for students, high quality instruction in those classrooms of the teachers that I evaluate is the reality for those students. Mrs. McNeal, teacher, the administrator, saying, help me.
Okay. And I want to do this in two parts. So first, I want to talk to those principals. And let me tell you, I've been in situations before where I have been asked, why are you telling your assistant principal that? Why are you sharing this with them? Why are you working so hard to empower this assistant principal? And what I would say is, when I empower my assistant principal, that means I can walk out of that building. I can take a vacation or be somewhere where I shouldn't have to worry about what's going on in that building, because that assistant principal knows what to do. And that includes behavior and all the other stuff that they're supposed to do, but they know about the instruction piece. They know about how I interact with parents. They know about my expectations. So what I would say to those principals is, if you isolate your assistant principals and have them in just in a box and one and only utilizing them for one thing, and then you have to not be there. Now everyone's calling you. Now you're getting 100 emails because we don't know what to do. You're out of the building. So what should happen? What should happen? And I never wanted that to be that way. So what I would do is say to my assistant principals, first thing I would tell them is, you are going to learn what I learned. We are going to work together so that I don't feel like I can't step away. If I want to go to a workshop, if I just need a day off, I need to know when I walk away from that building that you know how to handle those day-to-day operations. And being stuck in a box and only one, being able to function in one capacity is not that answer. So then what I would say to the assistant principal is advocate for yourself. Go to your principals and say, I would really like to learn this part of administration. I would really like to go to workshops and be informed and learn about trends in education and learn about the instructional side. And you will have some principals that will say, no, that's not your lane. That's not your lane. And then like Mr. Joseph said, that, you know what, when it's time to move on, it's time to move on, because no one should stifle you. No one should have you stagnant or just in a position where you can't grow within your role. So they have positions like in high school, like deans and people like that who handle discipline, or who their role might be defined a little differently. But when you are working in a capacity where you have a principal and an assistant principal, that means they should be hand in hand in the work they do within that school. And that means that includes instruction, because instruction guides what we do. If we're not there to improve instruction, to ensure students are learning, then we're not there for the right reasons. So once you have your core, everything else builds outside of that core. So once the core instruction is very tight and the core instruction is very solid, then you start to build on those other things outside of that. And that assistant principal has to be a part of that. Because like I said, me personally, I want to be able to know that my assistant principals know what to do when I'm not there. They know what I would do. They know what I've showed them how to do it, along with the teachers and the students. I had a building before where a teacher came up to me. She said, Ms. McNeal, the students know when you're not here. It's just a different atmosphere. And I said, well, that's a good thing. So they, of course, they hear my voice every morning on the intercom. And when they don't, then why is Ms. McNeal not doing announcements and things like that? But the presence that I bring to the buildings, I want that presence within that assistant principal and also those teachers within those schools. So the students know that when they walk in there, they're still going to have that great day. There's still going to be those expectations for learning, even when I'm not there. So you really have to empower your assistant principals, because if you don't, then you are taking away a very important piece of the work you're doing.
I love it. I love it.
Principal Kafele, can I chime in for a second?
Well, actually, before you do,
okay,
let me just say this directly to you.
Okay.
In my mind, I said, I know Dr. Harris wants to jump in here because this is what she does for a living, right? So jump on in here.
A couple of things. So when we think about this assistant principal who is not provided the opportunities to grow and develop, I co-facilitate Aspiring Principals Academy and Aspiring Leaders Academy. So we have those that want to be assistant principals, those are aspiring leaders, and those that are already currently assistant principals, and they are looking to become a building leader. One of the things that we impart to them is that you need to seek opportunity to grow, learn, and develop. You've got to do that on your own, especially when you have a principal who is not as communicable as and allowing you to have these opportunities. And when you think about these assistant principals that have all these operational tasks and demands to do, think about how you can tie that into student outcomes. So if you are in the cafeteria and you're in cafeteria duty, then you take time to goal set with kids. So there are opportunities that we don't want assistant principals to miss because they are there. And then sometimes when you don't have that principal who is giving you these opportunities, then you seek another principal, like find someone that will give you these opportunities on a daily basis, weekly basis, whether this is your mentor, whatever it looks like. But we always encourage them to lean in and learn and lead in your current role that you're in for the position that you want. So I think that's huge. Like, take some initiative. And it's sad. And unfortunately, it's like that. Sometimes you have a principal who is not the ideal principal that's pushing you to grow and develop. But we often tell them, just take the initiative to learn and grow and connect those operational tasks. We want assistant principals to be instructional leaders, and assistant principals want to be instructional leaders. But sometimes just placement matters, right? And so when you don't have those opportunities, we certainly encourage them to seek them elsewhere.
I love it. Good stuff.
So I jotted down 3 things real quick. I know I'm going to rush through this one. I tell, like, when I'm thinking about that, I would say, what is your job description, right? So they should dig in. Like, let me find out what my job description is. Ask your principal, or look at, how will I be evaluated, right? Is it all about discipline? Because typically it's not based off of school leadership. So you could find that niche in there. Like, all right, I'm not being evaluated on the number of kids I'm either seeing, suspended, given detention, and then show your value. Yeah, I saw somebody put in there, like, you got to be thirsty. Yeah, look at your job description. How am I going to be evaluated? And find that niche. Like, for me, as a second-year assistant principal, I saw there was a gap in regards to data for teachers. So I didn't even, listen, I'm saying this. I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. I didn't initially ask my principal. I just started doing some data stuff, and then I went to her. Hey, I see this is a gap, right? Can I do this? I already have it. It was going to be very hard for her to say no, because it was good stuff, right? Yep. And then it became, go ahead. That made teachers, because as a principal, as assistant principal, I was told initially, listen, you got hired because you're a Black man. And I told people, listen, I don't care if that's how I got in. That's not going to keep me there, right? So it had to be more. And then when we start thinking about how does that, your leadership makes those around you better, it is challenging the norm and then showing your value. So people say, man, that's so-and-so. He's doing some more than what people thought he was supposed to do or she's supposed to do.
I appreciate you adding that to the conversation. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go. Dr. Harris, I want to go back to your bio. It currently serving as a pre-K-12 leadership coach. Dr. Harris co-leads the division's efforts to strengthen its leadership pipeline and succession planning by developing aspiring and current school leaders through targeted learning experiences, job-embedded coaching, and data-driven decision-making. Her work includes strategic planning, instructional walkthroughs, school-based support, and providing collegial, actionable feedback that strengthens instructional leadership across schools. I see that as being a major responsibility, you and your co-coach, co-leader. It's a major responsibility, but I also thought to myself, it's a dream job for me. That's the job right there, right? So I got this question for you. I got 2 parts. In addition to all that I just read in terms of what you do as a leadership coach, talk to us, Doc, about the mental preparation that is required of a leader, of a principal or an AP toward performing at the highest possible levels.
It can be very taxing, right? Very, very taxing on administrators, assistant principal or principal, wanting to have this proficient or exceeds proficiency ratings. I think one of the important things is to remember their why, right? When you remember your why and you ground yourself in that work, it tends to come a little bit natural when you are trying to make sure that you have, dotted your I's and crossed your T's and you're doing all of that. I think one of the things in my work, because I'm very passionate about it, when you say a dream job, it is absolutely a dream job for me. As a principal, if I could have done that and done that only, that would have been amazing. I believe in growing leaders and letting them go. right? As much as I want to keep them with me, I feel like growing and going is part of the process. But it does become heavy when you get into this role. But I feel like that's where I come in as a support for those leaders, both aspiring and those sitting in those positions now, to help them develop strong instructional presence, to help them coach their own assistant principals. And no matter how hard or challenging it is, if you remember your why and know why you've gotten into this and why I want to stay in this, should be grounded in students. It starts to feel very rewarding. But I feel like one of the things that I've also learned to do in this role as a PK-12 leadership coach is the art of questioning. Talking to my principals and assistant principals to give them what they already have inside of them, like pulling it out of them. I feel like I'm serving as a thought partner, right? They are very knowledgeable at the work that they're doing, but asking those questions to get them to see through a different lens kind of helps, I feel like, alleviate some of the stress and being taxed with such heavy work.
Yeah. Let's stay together, Doc. The why came up with it there, came up with yourself. It comes up with me probably every day. But let's look at that one who the work has become so overwhelming, in fact, so burdensome that I do it well, but I am not operating out of my why anymore. I am operating out of a sense of employment. It's my job. This is just the work that I do. How, in the name of mental preparation, how do I regain my why so that I'm operating out of a why and not just because this is the best paying job that I could probably get based on my skill set?
So during the times when we have coaching sessions, I've had those conversations with some of the principals that they're like, why did I get into this? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Because it's not feeling as rewarding.
Right.
And so we've done a lot of reflection, right? We've done a lot of reflection, which caused me to ask questions, caused them to dig a little deeper, to see how we can ignite that spark. And it's not done in one coaching session at all. It could be done over, several weeks, even months, and trying to kind of go back to that to say, what is it that you want to get out of this position? Like, what is it? Why did you get into this in the first place? And then just sharing stories. Like up here today, we've shared a lot of stories about our work. And so having that time set aside during this coaching process and during our sessions has been invaluable because I know all 8 that I coach are absolutely phenomenal in the work that they do. Even in the midst of those moments where they're like, today was hard. This week has been tough. This month has been taxing. It really is just about honing in on what they want for their students, what they want for their staff, what they want for themselves. And so, again, the art of asking those tough questions, those reflective questions, it's critical. It's critical to the work that we do.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that because now I know that even that's a part of your work, right? Because it, as the 4 of us know that this work can become frustrating at times for various different reasons. It can become discouraging at times for various different reasons. So for me, I'm just really big on that mental preparation of how do I overcome whatever these adversities are mentally.
Yeah,
so I can get back to where I need to be. And I'll even add, and then I'm gonna turn it over to anybody that may want to also respond to it. There are times, and again, I'm very transparent. There are times with those travel woes that I have that I post about often. When I say the flight guides are not working with me this week or this trip, whatever it is, and there are times when I say, do I really want to continue to do this? And I have to remind because when you're doing back-to-back 12-hour drives at night, and all that and all the other stuff that comes along with it, then you start questioning: is this do I want to continue to do this? Do I have to continue to do this at my age of 65? And then somewhere in that conversation, I find my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, let's go. Let's do this drive, right? Whatever it is, because there's a bigger reason, a bigger calling as to why you do it than travel woes. So but sometimes I have to be hear me fam out there on the call. I have to be highly intentional about finding that, because I'm in my feelings at the time. Like, I have to literally drive for the next 12 hours into the night and arrive to the next city at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm due to speak at 8. So I'm in my feelings right now. Like, ain't gonna be no shower. Ain't my mother like, well, you giving too much information. My mother's watching. She watches every one of these. She's not. She's sitting on the, she's watching. You're giving too much information. There'll be no those change of suit. You just gonna show up. There'll be no dinner. Maybe a bag of chips or so while I was driving. And then I gotta, okay, but why are you walking in this room?
Yeah.
And then that brings me back. That brings me back. Did anybody else want to jump in on that?
Yes, I want to jump in on that. Why? Because first of all, for anyone who you is, whether it's an assistant principal, a teacher, or whoever may be working in your schools, I would always say, I can't tell you what your why is. And I would encourage you to really reflect and think about your why. Why are you showing up every day? And I would share my why, because sometimes somebody said to me, well, what is your why? Why do you show up every day? And I said, even though it's hard, and like Dr. Harris said, this is not an easy job, not for administrators, not for teachers, or any kind of related services working in our buildings. Education is not easy, but that why is I show up every day. And I told her, because when I leave at the end of the day, it is important to me that somebody made a better choice, or that there was a difference made in somebody, whether it was a student or an adult, because I was there. And like I said, those days that it's hard to get up, those days that it's hard to keep pushing forward, like you said, Principal Kafele, like, why am I driving? Because when I leave, I'm going to say or do something that's going to make a difference in somebody's life. And that's not everybody's why. And so everyone has to find that why. I used to tell my staff, think about how many schools you passed to get to this one. Why did you show up at this school today? Because if there's something here that you don't like, or something here that's not working for you, how many schools have you passed? So there's a why within everything. And those questions become very important to make people reflect. And sometimes they don't think about those things until you actually ask them these questions. You make them dig deep into what the reason that they show up for every day. Because also, I always tell them, when a child leaves you, when a parent leaves you, what will they say? Did I leave that conversation better than when I came? As a child, when I leave that 4th or 5th grade class, when I go to the next class, am I going to remember what my teacher said or did to make me feel a certain kind of way about my education, about learning, about school? So really, those questions, and I agree with Dr. Harris 100%, you have to throw those questions out and make someone really reflect and dig deep about that why.
Yeah, love it.
And maybe this is not this might be a not a popular thought. I will also say, as you're coaching people, if they are struggling to find their why for long stretches of time, it might be time to call it a day, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're it's been 3 months and I just can't find. All right, listen, there's another school leader ready to come on in, right, on fire to support kids. Same thing for teachers. If you can't find it, how long has it been? It's been a year. Oh yeah, it's probably time, right? Because we need somebody else to step up and take on the mantle to support the kids in our building. So I think that's part of it too.
You have to wear many hats in education, and sometimes teachers want to just be a teacher. They don't want to be a social worker or a counselor, someone. But when a student walks in your class, sometimes you have to put on many hats. And sometimes, like you said, Mr. Joseph, some people can't handle all the multiple hats that are required within a day of being an educator.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I think part of it, and
How
part of
high
it
the
is,
stack of hats get for us
Yeah.
as administrators.
and I think part of it is okay.
Mhm.
Right?
It is.
We get it. Like that. It's life is sometimes life becomes life, and I tell people all the time, listen. Sometimes the smartest decision, and this is part of making people better, because I'm thinking about, again, when we talk about, I'm not talking about always adults. I'm thinking about kids. How do I make my kids better?
Yeah.
And possibly it is, I got to get a new school leader in this building, right? I got to get a new teacher in this classroom to make sure my students are better. Because if you are struggling, and you're telling, if you're counting down, man, I just can't be here no more. Listen, I'll shake your hand. Listen, thank you for putting all that work in you did all those years.
Yeah.
That's right. Child of God, hopefully.
I agree. Let's go. Stay with you, sir. You've got this belief. It goes, the struggle continues until each child has the education that we want for our own. For the benefit of the fam outside on the other side of the camera, let me read that one again. The struggle continues until each child has the education that we want for our own. It speaks directly to making people around us better. So here's my question to you. Here's my ask of you. Give us a sense of how a principal or an assistant principal leads the effort toward making your belief a reality in every classroom in that building.
Yeah, I'll say that I stole that quote from a principal. Her name was Denise Dunham, fabulous principal that I had replaced when I was at Woodbury Junior Senior High School. But part of it was it was like a blessing and curse for my son. He was a student in the school that I was an assistant principal at. So that perspective changed everything for me. It was, because, a lot of times we give this narrative that every teacher is the best teacher, right? And we could say that, but then is that the truth? Like, is that reality? Are you able to, as an administrator, put your kid in that teacher's class? So that a lot of times as an assistant superintendent right now, I challenge our school leaders with that mindset. All right, close your eyes and think about that class. Is that class good enough for your kid?
Absolutely.
And if the answer is no, what do we have to do to support that teacher, that class, that it is that answer? And then the other part is when we start thinking about leadership, making those around us better, it is putting systems in place. All right, how do we do these instructional walks? How do we visit classrooms daily? That we're looking for these key steps on, here's this piece. How do we coach this teacher up? Because again, there are kids in our building, and we want to make sure that every student has that teacher that we would want for our own. But it has to be that cyclical process of looking at teacher practice, looking at student behaviors. How do we ensure that we have that system in place, and just challenging not only teachers, but definitely building administrators to have that mindset of go into that class, put your kid in that class, and think about how does that look. And if the answer is not a good answer, then you got some work to do, building principal, school leader, right, superintendent, assistant superintendent, to make sure that those systems are in place to make sure every kid has that opportunity. So it's a lot of coaching, a lot of talking, a lot of just pushing the school leader and the system to make sure it is supporting every kid.
Yeah, there you go. Let me keep moving because I'm just about at the talking points. I got one more for Bridgette. And I'm gonna be delicate with this one. The word equity. I don't have to be delicate with it with you because equity is not an issue with where you are in Illinois. But this word equity, there are multiple states in the U.S. that I am requested not ever to mention that word. So they'll even have 2 Zoom calls instead of 1 just to make sure that I don't forget not to use that word when I walk into that room, that auditorium, or whatever it is. So equity has multiple, people describe it multiple different ways. I simply say meeting young people where they are as they are, right? So my question to you, my ask of you for the benefit of the people who are on here right now and the people who will see this later on. If they're in a state where equity is a no-no, how do they maneuver around that toward ensuring that youngsters are still receiving equitable opportunities to learn? And just before I turn it over to you, I use myself as an example with this one. I didn't know until I was a principal and I was observing instruction when I was in my early 40s that I was not an auditory learner. I didn't know that, right? I thought I just wasn't as smart as other people. That literally, I just never used to share that until much later in my life, right? That I'm being exposed to things and my brain can't process it. What is that, right? Why do I have to underscore stuff in books? Why do I have to read paragraphs over? You know, all that kind of stuff, right? And then when I became a principal and I'm observing instruction, I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. And then I learned I'm not an auditory learner. No wonder I was underscoring everything. My books got all the lines in them and yellow highlighters because I'm highly visual. I got to see, right? So therefore, had I, and most people in the world that know me know that I spent the 5 years in high school and failed everything except PE, right? So, but yet graduated summa cum laude from undergrad school. So, because I took the instruction, the professor's instruction, his professor's lectures, and I made them visual without knowing that it was a thing, right? I just, that's too long to explain. So anyway, Bridgette, how do we ensure that in those states, the children still receive equitable opportunity to learn in those classrooms?
So first of all, as adults, if we are not given those opportunities for equitable learning opportunities, imagine how that would be for a child. And sometimes it breaks my heart to think that somebody would not think that an equitable education is necessary. It should not be an option because, like you said, everybody is at a different place. You don't walk into a classroom. It's very unlikely, I should say, that you walk into a classroom now that everybody is on the same level. You have kids that are learning at different rates. You have kids that have different learning styles, and you have to have that teacher that builds those relationships with those students to know and be able to recognize what their students need. Now, we rely heavily on data, which we should. We look at their test scores, we look at their assignments, and we can see what they are able to do and where those gaps in their educations may lie. So in order to have that equitable education that we need, that is a must for our students, we have to incorporate that into our everyday teaching, which means that if you have to do small group instruction, if you have to learn those ways to modify instruction for various students, you have to do that because students will not learn at their maximum capacity if they're not taught in a way that gives them that opportunity. Which means, like yourself, I am also a visual learner. You can talk to me, but until you show it to me. So if you have that teacher that's lecturing and not showing those visuals, you're losing some of your students. If you have that student that's struggling with vocabulary and you're using a certain level of vocabulary that they just don't understand, you're losing those students. So that means that our students are not given that fair opportunity, and being equitable for all students is lacking. And when that happens, that's when you see a school that is not thriving. So those states that are saying, we're not going to talk about equitable education because that's just not what we're going to do. What you're doing is you're hurting the students' opportunity to grow and learn to the maximum capacity. Because like I said, some students may learn a little bit, but when you think about, is a little bit of learning okay for your child? It's not. And I am 110% on board with Mr. Joseph when I say to my staff, if a McNeal was in your classroom and you're celebrating that 50% of my kids are meeting and exceeding expectations, what if my kids were in that 50% that was not? That's not okay.
Right.
So what you need to do is figure out why those children are not learning or growing at the rate of maybe their classroom peers, and adjust your instruction, the whole thought process about instruction in order to reach those kids. Because we don't want, we can't celebrate the sum of the kids. Our goal is all of the kids. So you have those states that do not want to talk about equitable education, and they're really doing a disservice, if you ask my personal opinion. It is truly a disservice. So what we have to do is, without saying it, you have to do it. And I would say I will walk into a classroom and teach my kids the best way I know how. And with the thought is, these are students that I'm responsible for their futures. I'm responsible for making sure these kids are readers. I'm responsible for making sure that they can go out into the world and count or do whatever they need to do, so that I would take that responsibility upon myself to make sure, almost by any means necessary, you teach those students how they need to be taught. And if you feel like that whole group, one way, one lesson, one way is going to work, you'll learn real fast that it will not.
Love it, love it, love it. Let's dive into those talking points. And I'm gonna go out of sequence just because I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to all of them, but I wanted the ones that I really wanted to hear about. That's the way I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna go with this is from Dr. Harris, and you said I'm driven to develop systems, and what caught me mostly was the word systems. Develop systems that grow current and aspiring leaders so schools sustain excellence and impact beyond any one individual. Break that down for us, Doc. What are you saying to us?
I think when you look at developing systems, you're looking at those opportunities that you can create for all kids, right? So we want to look at strong systems that expectations are clear. They're not vague, that practices are consistent, that support happens with automaticity, right? It's not random. It's not just by chance. And so we don't want to have the conversations of no student depends on which classroom they get, as Ms. McNeal just talked about, and Mr. Joseph. Like, we don't want to have those conversations. We want to make sure that we have those high leverage systems that leaders should build on, right? Starting at the division level, and then when you get to school-based, that these leaders can build on. And that includes things like observation, using data to put into an actionable system. PLCs with purpose. Like, is there some purpose behind us meeting weekly? Are we talking about kids? Are we talking about what worked, what didn't work? What are kids supposed to know and be able to do? So we want to use those opportunities to basically sustain excellence and impact, like I shared before, beyond just one particular person or one individual group.
Yeah. Talk to us about the leader where either systems do not exist or systems are not being carried out the way that they were designed to.
I think that goes back to that isolated leader, that leader that's not working for the good of kids, right? Or the good of their staff, that it's my way or no way, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like that when those systems aren't working, it's because that leader doesn't want it to work, right? They're not putting those things in place to give every student an opportunity, every staff member that professional development or professional knowledge. So when those things fold, you don't have those opportunities to create strong, not just create, sustain strong systems and increase student achievement.
I love it. And I want to bring Eder in here because he said, he used the word systems as well, systems for student well-being. And some of this I'm gonna have to read off the paper because they only give you 200 characters on StreamYard. So he said, I believe in building systems centered on developing positive relationships with students and recognizing the critical need to support their mental health as a foundation for learning and growth. Talk to us about that and put particular emphasis again on the word systems.
Yeah, so similar to what was just previously said in regards to, one, ensuring that there is a system, And if there isn't, how do you work with your team to develop a system, and then enforcing and making sure that you're monitoring that system. So in regards to like positive relationships, again, we kind of go back to that why, making sure that people know why is this system in place? Like why are we doing this? And then that monitoring, you have to consistently, as new school leaders, you have to monitor what those systems are. Because as we keep saying, the work is heavy, the work is hard, a lot of these systems fall through the crack, right? But you have to be laser focused and intentional. So where I've been at that positive relationships, it is, here's how we talk to students, right? Period. Right. There are times where as an adult, I had to physically apologize to a kid, and I needed adults to see that I was apologizing to a kid because I did something wrong. Right. And I would say, listen, you know what? I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Right. Even apologizing to a parent. So part of that is developing those systems and monitoring it and staying true to it. And I think what you said, Principal Kafele, is that sometimes if a system is ineffective, it becomes, how do we go back to the drawing board and we got to change this system because it's not working for our kids.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's keep moving. Hang on a second. Which one did where we at? There we go. Bridgette has said the impact of social media and technology and the role it plays in schools. To the fam out there, anybody that's new to the platform, you've never been here, let me just tell you where these are coming from. I generate my own questions in the first portion of our sessions. We've been doing this for 304 consecutive Saturdays, but I also want my guests to be able to talk on things that they may be passionate about that my questions may not necessarily address their passions. So they send me 3 talking points on areas of passion as it relates to their own leadership. So that's where we are now for anybody that's new to the platform and doesn't know the format. So again, you indicated the impact of social media and technology and the role it plays in schools. What are you saying to us, Bridgette?
So in terms of social media, I think that what our kids see and are exposed to sometimes does not have a positive impact on their lives. And so what we have to do in the school system is make sure that we are staying true to an educational setting. I would often say this is a school setting, so we don't talk a certain way, there's a certain way we don't do things. And so we have to let them know that when you are learning, we are learning for a purpose, and we are learning to promote a positive lifestyle and for you to go out into the world and be productive. So sometimes the impact of social media, like I said, has that negative impact. It doesn't always have to be negative, but sometimes you would see kids wanting to write how they text in shorthand or use words that are not full sentences and words that are just shorthand and things like that. And I would say when you are writing an essay or when you're asking to respond to a certain prompt, we need complete sentences with grammar and punctuation and things like that. So we have to make sure that there is a clear separation between what we are expecting within the school system and what the kids are doing outside in social media. Now, when I talk about technology and innovative technology is definitely what we do need in our schools, because that's the trend. That's what's coming down the line for our students in life. They're going to be exposed to things like AI, and they're going to be exposed to different technologies that can definitely elevate what they want to do in life and whatever their career choices are. But we have to structure it within the school system to make it that positive, to make it that innovative style, so that they know the right way to utilize the technology and the things that are in their hands. So we don't want to take technology away because of the innovation, and we don't want to send our students out into the world not knowing. But what we can do is make sure we have that educational technology, that educational innovative new intelligence and things like that that's out there. So we have to make sure that we are structuring it in a way that is going to be a lifelong lasting impression on our students for good. And I know in my district, my superintendent, and shout out to Dr. Halliman, that she is really big on technology and innovation and making sure that we are competitive and that our students are learning the proper way to utilize what's out there for them.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Last Saturday with my guest, I shared with them a video that is going to be locked into my psyche for the rest of my life. And that's not a positive thing. As soon as I saw the word social media on when you sent me the email of your talking points, it took me to the video because of social media. So the video, very quickly to summarize it, was about 5 little elementary school age girls, Black girls, beating up this one Black girl. They were taking turns. They were elementary age. It was vicious. It was difficult to watch. I was just scrolling Instagram and it popped up. And it was a lengthy video. I didn't even watch it to the end because it was just too much to take in. But my mind, the educator in me said, in addition to watching it, is it also something that's informative for the innocent person, the innocent young person that may be watching the video? Is it instructional for them, right? And thereby that much more damaging for them as they watch it in terms of what they may do to somebody else, how they may respond to somebody else that they have a conflict with. Because obviously there was a conflict with the little girl that they were beating up, and that was the way the conflict was resolved, right? So I just worry about the impact of social media. Though I continue to be a fan of social media, I use it on a regular basis, right? So it has enhanced my work, but I still wish, and everything you said was definitely appreciated in terms of how we help young people to learn how to use it, how to navigate it, as opposed to some of the destructive ways that it is used.
And I would just say, and adding on to that, is what you allow in the school. So conflict resolution in the school should not look like conflict resolution as it did in that video that you're referring to. So if you have a problem with someone, we have to create ways for them to know how to utilize other intelligences as opposed to just fighting or just using inappropriate language and things like that. So within the school, we have to make sure that we are able to help students challenge and see that there are alternatives to what they see on social media. So whatever that child did, was there another way to handle that? And in the school systems, I think we hold a big responsibility of helping them understand that and not letting them bring that mindset into the school. Or if they do bring it into the school, help them to grow, help them to shift that mindset.
Absolutely. Bless you. All right, let's do one more round. Let me go back up to where am I at? Here it is, number 4. Dr. Harris had indicated, she said, I believe strong school leadership is built on trust, relationships, and consistent communication that holds people accountable while honoring their humanity. Before I ask you to elaborate, Doc, I chose this one for a specific reason. So I wanted to get into that with you. We all know as adults, and we know as educators, and we know as school leaders, that communication, verbal communication, looks very different with the different people that we interact with. I've come to know over the years, and being in this business for as long as I've been in, there are members of these leadership teams that do not know or who are struggling with how to communicate effectively with different people. It's like I'm a speaker for a living. I speak to different audiences. So certainly my audience at the Nurturing Greatness conference at Seton Hall University the other day, Monday, was vastly different from my audience in St. George, Utah. So therefore, who I was on Monday was not necessarily who I was on Wednesday. Yes, it was Principal Kafele, but my delivery and my content was so vastly different between the two, because I understood culturally these are two vastly different audiences. So I have to adapt my communication to whom I'm speaking to so that I can be heard by both. And if I don't know how to communicate to the various different audiences, then I'm not going to be heard, because they're not going to be able to hear me for my lack of skill in adapting to the audience that I'm speaking to. With all that said, Doc, talk to us about ensuring that leader understands that teacher in room 101 may not be able to hear you the way that the teacher in room 104 can hear you.
I feel like that when you think about communication, there should be clarity before accountability, right? When we think about teachers in the classroom level, they differentiate for students. I think in some cases that is applicable to leaders having those conversations with teachers, right? So what communication needs to be is clear, consistent. It needs to be concise, and it needs to be repetitive at sometimes, right? It comes in different forms. So that could be an email, that could be a face-to-face conversation, that could be in the newsletter. There's multiple ways to communicate, but I think first and foremost that there has to be some clarity around it as a leader. You have to be clear about what expectations you're setting. And when that happens, then you're able to, it's almost like a little bit of a ripple effect. Like, oh, okay, a couple of people understand, a couple of teachers got it. And then it becomes clear to everyone. And then at that time, you can hold them accountable. But again, I feel like when you think about leadership and then dealing with teachers, and you think about teachers dealing with students, it's very synonymous, right? It can look quite the same, just on a different level. So I think there's opportunities to differentiate for different people, depending on what they need at that time. But again, I'll stand firm with clarity as far as communication before accountability. Before I hold you accountable, I'm going to make sure me as a leader, I have been clear and concise about what I need you to do moving forward. What are the action steps? And then I'll hold you accountable.
I like it. Clarity. I love it. Clarity before communication, right?
Accountability, yeah.
Before accountability, yeah. So one has to make oneself clear.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking about the various people in society, in the education space, wherever, who may say, you and I may say, man, you're not clear in what you're expressing to me, or you're not clear in the question that you've raised, whatever it is. We've been in situations where folks were not clear, so now that becomes a part of that skill set in communication toward ensuring, because now it's a two-way street. On the one hand, you want that leader to be clear, but on the other hand, you want the recipient to have the courage to express to you, I don't understand. But now that's communication, because if you don't express that in a way that's non-threatening to your superior, so to speak, then now you may have created an additional problem that didn't exist because you expressed that you weren't clear, but you said it in a way that may have been threatening to that person.
And I think it goes back to that first part, that trust. Again, I thrived on my building centered in trust and relationships, and that clarity and communication became easier, right? It was very easy. They felt empowered to come and say, hey, I'm struggling on this. How do I, and I was able to give them some actionable next steps, but they were very open to it because of the relationship I've established with all of my staff.
And there's the word right there, relationship, which you have right
It's
now.
everything. It is everything.
So it's like, and a lot of times when I'm talking to my guests as the vehicle to talk to the fam that tune in, and that's literally what's happening right now in your and my conversation. So I like to think I'm one of the teachers on here, right? So So again, I believe, I want to read the whole statement again. I believe strong leadership is built on trust, relationships, and consistent communication that holds people accountable while honoring their humanity. I got to hold up the mirror, fam.
Yeah.
Talking to the folks to the people watching. I call them fam. Fam, ask yourself the question.
Yes.
Within your leadership capacity, is it built on that relationship? Is it built on trust, relationships, and consistent communication that holds people accountable? That's key. While honoring their humanity.
Principal Kafele, let me tell you. So I don't know if any of my teachers are on here watching, but they know I would always say this. So we know that sometimes accountability will feel like an attack when you are engaging in what I call educational malpractices. I only take it personal when you're messing with kids, right?
Right.
Every single time. It's going to feel like an attack when you're not doing right by kids. I'm simply holding you accountable. But my staff was able to receive that because of the trust we've built and cultivated, because of the relationships we have with not just one another, but with our staff, with our students, and with our families. All of that is connected. I will tell anybody, they will do anything. The great Rita Pearson said that kids will do anything, and I think staff will too, as long as they know they are loved and valued and empowered and heard. Every single time.
That's right. That's right. And I think that I unintentionally downplayed one piece on this sentence, and that's the last part. While honoring their humanity. Yeah. See, I've been harping on the communication part. Let's to the fam out there. Let's harp on this last part here. While honoring their humanity. At the end of the day, the proverbial end of the day, these people we're talking to in these schools, these are human beings. These are people with lives.
Yes.
These are people who go home to their families just like us and do the thing, raising their children just like us, and all the other things that come along with being family, right? And I like to think that I honored the humanity of the people in my building. I really like to think that, particularly once I became seasoned in leadership, because I did see the humanity and not just the teacher, not just the student, but the humanity. I think about with students, the volume of children whose homes I went to because I was concerned about what was happening when they left school. So what is home life? That's the human, because I'm not paid to do that. I'm thinking about the hours long conversations with teachers who are at their wits' end over whatever, and in a lot of cases had nothing to do with the work. It was outside of work stuff. But that's the humanity with these individuals, which goes a long way in terms of how we're respected within our own capacities. I don't know if anybody wanted to jump in on that one, but feel free.
No, yeah. One thing I will say, and I appreciate what Dr. Harris is saying, like one of my norms, and when I talk to teachers and our agendas, the last one is assume the best. Like for me, is I want people assume that everything that I'm doing is from the lens of making things better. And unless I've done something to go against that assumption, let's go with it. Like, it's not about, I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm not trying to hurt the system. It is, we're trying to do things better. And that's part of that trust, that relationship, and that consistent communication. I will say also, listen, I struggled with clarity early on. I think now, if I could go back as a high school principal or middle school assistant principal, AI has helped me. And I would throw something in AI and say, can you make it concise, because I write too much. And I'm like, let me know if it's really clear and what I got to do to make this clear so people don't get like what is he asking? It is clear. Here's what he said, and here's next step. So AI has helped leverage that for me on a personal level.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And I would like to chime in too, Principal Kafele, is that early on, for a lot of school leaders who are starting their careers, those difficult and crucial conversations are hard for the administrator and for the person receiving it, because of the accountability piece that's tied to difficult or crucial conversations. But when you build those trusting relationships and when you honor that humanity, it becomes a shift. And I'm not being reprimanded. I'm being taught a valuable lesson. So when you have those conversations, you don't want to have to walk in feeling I'm in trouble, I'm going to get reprimanded. This is going to negatively reflect my ability as an educator. But when you have those type of conversations and you build those relationships, then you have those teachers walking into your office feeling like whatever it is she has to say or he has to say is going to make me learn from this. And I can walk out of here knowing how to do something differently or being better as a result of that conversation.
Love it. Love it. You know, when you think about going back to what was said earlier, that accountability is not attacking.
That's right.
It's, you know, that communication, to be able to talk to somebody that you're not happy with their performance, right? Mm-hmm. They're not performing at the level upon which you feel they can, but you do see the potential.
Yes.
So now, do you have the skill set to talk to this person in a way that you're not happy without breaking them at the same time? Right? Unless that was your intent, because you're trying to get this person to leave your building, right? But you know, and I say that jokingly, somewhat, but can you communicate with this person in a way that I'm trying to build you, but I got to be honest with you at the same time. Mm-hmm. But able to modulate your tone in a way that they hear you, but they know that you're with them.
Yeah.
Trying to build.
And I think part of it is people are watching all the time. Yeah. Teachers are watching how you lead. And if they see that you are allowing somebody to do disservice, that's where the trust gets lost. They're like, what are you talking about? He says this, but everybody see, like, and again, New Jersey is unions are really strong in New Jersey. But what I've learned is that teachers, they're not going to tell on each other for the most part, right? Yeah. But they want the administrator to correct, right, the wrong that somebody else is doing, and they see it, they watch it, and I think that builds that relationship for everybody, because they say, man, Principal Kafele, he just went down the hall and he spoke too, and he corrected that, and they feel empowered, like, all right, I know I'm doing the right thing, and I know they're not, and I'm gonna keep doing the right thing.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. I probably need to do a session just on communication, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we have in the past, but it's been a while. Let me go. We doing this last round, so let me go to Eder. And I saw this one that I really wanted to dive into. Here we go. Student voice, where you said, I see students not just as the beneficiaries of school improvement, but as active participants in shaping it. And you can champion their voice as a real lever for meaningful change. Go on and tell us what you're saying on that one.
All right, I'm going to keep this one short. Let's shout out to my superintendent, Dr. Ashanti Holly. We've been doing a lot of work in our district as it relates to student voice. So last year I came to her and said, I want to kind of really highlight student voice to the point where we do end of course surveys, similar to what you did in college, but we do it at the high school level. So at the end of each semester, at the end of each year, students are providing directly to teachers some feedback, and it's anonymous, right? So teachers get it. I don't want it, but teachers have to reflect on it. But students need to see either here's the things that's going to change because of what we said, or here's some of the things that, listen, I get it. This is what you want to change, but that can't happen, right? But at the end of the day, it is, when we start talking about making those around us better, it is challenging adults to listen to kids, have them give their input, because they're closest to the work, right? Everything that we do, they are feeling it all. Like electronic device policy, they feel it, right? Schedule change, they feel it. There's this, last thing I'll say, there's like a tug of war. As school leaders, you will always be in this tug of war. What is best for kids versus what is convenient for adults. And I'm hopeful that the winning side is always what's best for kids and not what's convenient for adults. And just hearing kids, knowing what they're thinking about, and really using that as your change to really push initiatives and strategies and your school district forward with kind of listening to students.
Love it. Love it. Student voice. It matters. I won't even delve into it because of the time, but anybody want to get in on that one? Student voice. We all good? All right. Tell you what. Let's go to our rapid fire to bring it to an end. The rapid fire BAM impact questions are meant to be just that, rapid fire. These are one sentence or even one word or a few words, but if you find yourself inserting a comma, you have gone far too long, right? Far too long, right? So here we go. Rapid fire, 7, 7, and 7, 21 altogether. Let's start with Dr. Harris. Do you feel that education is currently on the right path for underserved children?
Absolutely not.
Do you feel that true equity can occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Concerned.
Does Dr. Terra Harris's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Most definitely.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
Absolutely the same.
Why do you continue to do the work that you do?
Kids.
What fires you up, particularly within the work that you do?
Seeing kids excel.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Nothing.
First time I've ever heard that one. Eder, what has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
Student success.
What was your greatest mistake in the work you do?
I've heard this question so many times. I always think about it. I don't know. Believing in the system.
What has been your greatest challenge in the work you do?
Adults not wanting to change.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Yes.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes.
Who inspires you in your work?
Many, again, not the Glaze, but Bridgette Kafele is definitely one.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
What book would you recommend to our fam out there this afternoon?
One would be, I still read and look at Zaretta Hammond's Culture Responsive Teaching in the Brain. And then as a school leader, there was one, The Devil Emails at Midnight. Somebody shared that with me, and it was like a really quick, good one for school leaders.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Bridgette, what do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
I want to become that leader that everyone would want to model themselves after.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No, there's always room to grow.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance now?
Not at peak performance, truly believe in the power of yet.
What would you say to an AP out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
Don't stop. If you're there for the right reason, keep going.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
If you don't have passion for students, you're not in the right place.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
If you don't have confidence in who you are, you need to seek those who surround yourself with those who can help. And
lastly, I'm going to ask all three of you this one, but starting, if Mrs. Bridgette McNeal was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Bridgette McNeal is a person who truly cares about the future, and children are truly the future.
If Dr. Terra Harris was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Dr. Terra Harris is a doer, a thinker, and she's impactful.
And if Eder Joseph was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Intentional.
Love it, love it, love it. Let me be the first to applaud you. Actually, I'm not first because they already started in the thread. But to the fam out there, hit us up with your favorite emojis. If today's session resonated with you, if you found it useful, if you found you could utilize what you heard, if you found it inspiring or empowering or just good stuff, hit us up with your favorite emojis. And to the ones who are new to the platform, first time here, maybe you were here because of one of the three guests. That's how we applaud our guests. We just put up our favorite emojis that lets us know that you enjoyed what you heard or benefited from what you heard, or it was just good stuff. And I always get my emoji. Let me get my Louisville Slugger out here. And this is my real life emoji, the bat, right? And each time you came to the plate, you hit it out the park. So I'm rocking my Dallas Black Giants Negro League jersey this morning. A lot of people not familiar with this team, but they exist. I got about 70 jerseys upstairs, and it's a whole lot of teams, far more than just the Kansas City Monarchs and the Homestead Grays. And for Chicago, since you're out in Illinois, and the Chicago American Giants, everybody knows, it's a whole lot of teams out here. So y'all hit it out the park, man. This was a great session. I was loving a lot of the comments where people were saying that this just a great conversation. So that means that this was beneficial. So I don't know if anybody on this call does any kind of consulting work out here. I don't think there's any authors on here yet, but you said yet, Bridgette, so there will be. But let the folks know how they can reach you, how they can follow you, how they can follow you on social media, all that good stuff. Let's start with Dr. Harris. Let them know.
Yes. So first of all, Principal Kafele, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been an absolute honor. You can find me on Twitter at tchalmersharris. Also, email is the same, tchalmersharris@gmail.com, or LinkedIn at Dr. Terra Harris.
That's why I couldn't find you, because you use that Chalmers. So that's folks, that's T and then CHALMERS.
Harris. Yep.
Harris. Yeah. That's what tripped me up, man. All right. Let me go there.
Same. Thank you, Doc. Go see Doc. I call you Dr. Kafele in my mind. But I will say, I would not be a principal, a school leader, without seeing Principal Kafele year 2. You changed my trajectory. So we talk about that, making those around you better. As a second year teacher, I'm like, who is this guy? And what is he about? And you changed that trajectory for me. So if you can follow me, really just LinkedIn is where I'm really more at. It's Eder Joseph. Follow me on Eder Joseph, EDER, last name Joseph, on LinkedIn.
I appreciate that. And to the fam, again, I was young then, and I made the newspapers that year. It was his second year. It was my 4th year as a principal. I made the newspapers in that district, because I left my home district and went to a town that I knew nothing about. And I made the papers 21 times. I got all the articles and op-eds in my scrapbook down here. And I don't mean for bad things. I just was, I was a rabble rouser back then. I guess I still am, but it looks different, So back then it was like blatant in your face, So not toward my staff though, just
Yeah, and I followed the Kafele blueprint when I became a principal. It was really, I'm on that loudspeaker. Kids knew I'm gonna talk to them in the morning, in the afternoon, outside. Like it was like, all right, here's the blueprint. And then I had to say, all right, I gotta be me and take a little bit of the Kafele and just be Principal EJ.
I'm honored by that, man. You got me smiling from ear to ear, man. Bridgette, let them know.
Well, before I start, Principal Kafele, this has truly been an honor. When you talked to me back in August, February was a long way away, but I'm so glad I'm here.
Yeah.
So thank you. I truly thank you with all my heart. I am on Facebook. You can Bridgette McNeal on Facebook, or you can reach me at bridgette.mcneal@speed802.org.
I appreciate that. And let me say something about that, folks. For those of you that have no interest in being guests on here, you just tune in. There's a lot of people that do have interest. I get calls literally 7 days a week from people. I have agents that reach out to me, right, for their clients. that want to come on this platform. I had somebody reach out to me this morning before 8 o'clock this morning. Can you get this person on? We are booked solid until September, right? And that's why a lot of times I'll ask someone if they can come on, but it ain't till 6 months later that we actually do it. But this platform is booked solid until next September. And I'm contemplating, but I haven't made a decision yet on going back to one-on-one. And that means it's going to take folks years to get on here. Right now, we do 3 at a time, but I'm contemplating going one-on-one so that I could go a lot more in depth with one guest. But I don't know because so many people want to get on, I may never get to that. And I'm also considering going back to 1 hour. But again, I don't know. You know, my mother's sitting here. I know she's watching and she's saying, you ain't going to nowhere. I know she's saying that right now. She's laughing right now. I know my mom better than anybody. But she's 91 and hasn't missed a session. 304. She's been sitting here watching every one of these sessions since the first Saturday in May 2020. So look here, y'all. From me, I just appreciate you. You know, great session, and look forward to bringing you back on at some point, despite what I just said, you know. But yeah, at some point we make it happen. Listen, y'all stay there while I sign off, and stay on when I go off camera so that we could wrap it up. Hey fam out there, thanks for being here for week number 304. As always, I appreciate you tuning in, seeing it not robbery, not just for me, but tuning in at 10 o'clock with Sean Hurt, Facebook Live. 10:30, all of these are Facebook Live. 10:30 with Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, then us, and then, as I forgot to say earlier, Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, Sundays at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central on the PGP podcast. We call ourselves the Fantastic Four, and it's all free. All you got to do is tune in, right? So make sure you do. Make sure that you get yourself a copy of What Is My Value Instructionally to the Teachers I Supervise. Y'all know I've written 14 books. 10 of them are on, matter of fact, there's more than 10 on Amazon because there's some books on there that I don't know how they're on there that I wrote many years ago. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. I appreciate that. Some books that I sold to a vendor a decade or so ago that never paid me, but sold them to Amazon, and it's called A Black Parent's Handbook to Educating Your Children. It's the first book I ever wrote in 1991, but this is the book I want you to get, right? What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? So make sure you get yourself a copy. Make sure that you go to principalkafele.com and scroll down the homepage and go to the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. Join me in Savannah, Georgia, July 9 and 10. July 9 and 10. July 9 and 10. But you got to register. We got an early bird special, so go ahead and register. Get the early bird discount. Go to principalkafele.com, and we'll see you in Savannah, July 9 and 10, 2 full days, 9 to 4, where we talking nothing but instructional leadership. It won't be a repeat of last year because I got enough content in this book to last me for the next 10 years, literally, right? So we something different every time. To the New Jersey Black educators out there, we got the informational meeting. I'm the president-elect for the New Jersey affiliate, National Alliance of Black School Educators. We got a informational meeting coming up on February 24th, next Tuesday at 6:30. And I want to see you in the house. So if I haven't reached out to you, or the president hasn't reached out to you, my man, Dr. Elford Raw Dill, simply go to inbox me right now on Facebook at Principal Kafele or Instagram at Principal Kafele and tell me to send you the QR code, or just go to Principal Kafele on Facebook or Instagram and you'll see the flyer. You'll see it. Just hit the QR code up and register immediately. Get it out the way, please. And then join us on February 24th, next Tuesday at 6:30, as we talk about who we are, what we're about, and what role you might play, how you might fit in to being a member of the New Jersey affiliate, right? If you had registered for the webinar that I was doing this week with NAESP, National Association of Elementary School Principals, we had to change the date. I had a death in the family, so I got to fly out of town tomorrow. So we'll do that on March the 10th. So again, if you were registered for my webinar for February 23rd, we moved it to March the 10th, right? The flyer's on my page. You can go see it. And then subscribe to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We have 24,900 subscribers to that channel already. I'm looking to go to 25,000 before our anniversary, our 6th anniversary, which is May, the first Saturday in May. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. I want to hit 25,000 before the anniversary, right? And then lastly, your diet, your exercise, and your virus precautions. I say it every week for the past 304 weeks. Make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, right? That's important. If there's no you, if you're not taking care of you and there's no you, then who's going to lead them kids? It's going to be somebody else, right? So make sure you're taking care of you. Other than that, y'all, again, thanks for being here. I'll see you next Saturday for week number 305. And check out my guests real quick. I got 3 superintendents. I have no idea what the topic will be. I'll know by Tuesday or Wednesday. You might know one of them, Eder, because when you said Woodbury, the current superintendent, I don't know if you were there with him, Andrew Bell. Yeah, he came after you. So Andrew Bell will be on with me with Dr. Sean Smith from Indianapolis, and Dr. Elena Zachary Ross from Ypsilanti, Michigan. So we're gonna have a good talk about something. I just don't know what it's gonna be, but the 3 current superintendents. So we'll have a conversation about something going on in these schools. So other than that, y'all join me next week. I'll see you next Saturday. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Flip it. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday morning. Deuces.